Hi everyone, good morning. Today's What Sold video is going to cover the first week of July 2025. So from the 1st to the 7th. We're going to start out here on Poshmark. We remember, like I mentioned in some of the recent What Sold videos, Poshmark is not allowing me to open these up in new tabs, all of these sold. So I just have to kind of give a little overview here. We sold these Anrabes, which was just like some Amazon brand palazzo linen blend pants. They were given to me by my mom. She was like, maybe you could wear these while you're in these last few months of pregnancy, but they were just kind of long and overall big. So I just listed them and they sold, I think about the same day for $12. This highlight men's jacket, this did end up getting reduced, I think, in price when I did the last closet clear out. And then I had two people send me offers. One guy kept sending me like a $5 offer. And I think that that notification of the offer that he sent alerted another watcher. And so then he sent an offer and we finally settled on $23. Next were these torrid peach colored shorts. I think these have been like relisted. These were like an older item and then I relisted them more recently and they did sell low, but that 00 for torrid is about a large. Um, I'd say probably about a 12, 14-ish. So that is on the lower side of torrid and not plus size. So I wasn't expecting to get much for these. So I was okay with $9. Next was this 2006 Scarecrow Barbie. My husband was so disappointed to see that these really didn't hold their value much. He bought me a collection of Wizard of Oz Barbie dolls, I'd say maybe about 5, 6 years ago, because obviously, as you can tell from our store name, Ruby Slipper Resale, I've always been a big Wizard of Oz fan ever since I was like a toddler. And so I've always received lots and lots of items to add to a collection. I'm no longer collecting. I'm trying to get out of that whole mindset of collecting items. So I've been selling off a lot of my Wizard of Oz items. I think he got me to the 2006 ones, and then I also had some like 1995, 1996 ones that I also have been listing. Um, I can't remember exactly which ones he got me, but he bought them in like a big lot on eBay and he gave them to me for like Christmas or my birthday or something. And I think we averaged out that he paid about $40 per Barbie. So he was not too happy that these were not selling for that much. But I had to explain to him, as you guys know, just because something was worth something at one time or you were willing to pay something doesn't mean that's how much it was necessarily going to be worth for always, right? Um, I did run a waterfall sale during the 4th of July weekend on Poshmark, and so this did get caught up in that sale. I don't think I intended for it to, but I might have just not unclicked it when I was sending offers to likers, but at least it sold and someone got a really good deal on it. So that's what matters, I guess. Now when I do my spreadsheet, I counted that the cost of goods for that item was $40. So technically, if I were to count that, I didn't count that in the profit for this month for this video because I don't know quite how I feel about that yet as far as selling off personal items. Um, he didn't buy that with the intention of reselling it. So do we consider that that's a $40 cost of goods or not? Like, I don't, do you know what I'm saying? I'm not really sure. Do I count that as it was a gift? Like, whenever I've done other things that were gifts, like things that my mom bought me or whatever, I'll say that the cost of goods is $0. So I'm still kind of trying to decide whether I want to consider the cost of goods for those Barbie dolls as 0 or as 40. So I didn't count it towards this month's profit because it would have been like negative 30 something dollars. So I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. Next was this LuLaRoe skirt. I think I mentioned before that for a lot of this LuLaRoe stuff, I'm not necessarily putting LuLaRoe in the title because for one, that's a long brand name. It takes up a lot of space, but also LuLaRoe is not that much of a searched, I don't think, brand, or it's not that desirable like it maybe once used to be. It still is in the listing description where I put brand as well as the item specifics that said LuLaRoe. But that way, if people are just looking up something that's quirky or cute or whatever, like I feel like some people can get off put by or put off by the LuLaRoe brand. So I don't want it to be the first thing that's advertised. And I've seen that that seems to be doing pretty well. I listed this just because it was a really cute skirt and had a really um like novelty print, which was an all over tiger pattern, like of tiger faces, and that did sell for $12. And lastly was these Chico Travelers pants, and they sold for 20. So our total profit on Poshmark, again, I'm not really including that scarecrow doll just because I kind of want to figure out how I want to go forward with profits. But notwithstanding the scarecrow doll, our profit on Poshmark was $40.04. Now we'll move on to Mercari because we did have a Mercari sale and we sold this pair of Torrid pull-on jeans in a size 3 short. Again, that's a 3X short. And so whenever I list something on Poshmark, or excuse me, online, that's Torrid, I will always say it is a plus size 3. For example, it is a plus size 3, which is Taurus equivalent to a plus size 3X. I'll put all that on there because maybe not everybody who's looking at what you're selling knows the brand Torrid, knows their size chart. And also just that kind of sneaks in that keyword plus size, which is great if anybody happens to be looking up plus size jeans. And it also gets that word or the keyword or the size 3X in there because otherwise um, it would just be listed as a 3 and people may get confused. So these sold and our profit was $13.45. And now we'll move on to eBay. We sold this Torrid top. This was one of the items I bought when I was doing some retail arbitrage on the clearance page of Torrid, and it sold for $20. A Land's End shirt, which was one of my husband's. And I don't even remember. I think we got these like back when we were dating. I bought him a bunch of these solid t-shirts. It's like all he wears is solid color t-shirts. And there are just a few that he only wore like maybe one time. And so I was like, before we just donate it, let me just see if I can get a couple bucks off of them. And so I think we sold like maybe an orange or a red one or something. And then this purple one has now sold. This was an item that I got at that outdoor church yard sale where everything was $2. This lady really wanted this blouse because she was sending me offers constantly, like over and over and over again. And I will admit, this is a really cool shirt. And like it's a blouse, it's vintage. It was like a sheer lace, all over lace with this really pretty shimmery, shiny metallic threading. But she was sending me a lot of low ball offers. And so finally, she settled for $19. Unfortunately, that ad fee did still come out of it. I am actually considering not doing promoted listings anymore. So I have not been promoting my listings because I want to just see what happens. I was doing promoted listings for a while and I guess it helped, but you can just never really tell whether it helped, in my opinion, or sales are just picking up. And because I have been running those 30% off sales pretty regularly, like about once a month, I'm just going to kind of try to experiment for a few months and see if that alone will help sales and I don't have to do promoted listings. It's not a ton, but obviously, as you can see, when it could be up to 50 cents or more per item, it can add up. Next was this Torah dress. This was a more recent item that I listed, and this was something from my personal collection. I'd had this for a few years. It did have some fading to it because it was just that all over really dark navy, like a little bit of wash wear. So I had already listed it at a bit of a lower price, and it sold on our 30% off 4th of July sale for $14. Next were these vintage Stride Right little leather baby shoes that were really cute, and they sold for $10.50, again on the 30% off sale. A Vermont Country Store bad jacket. This was like the second one I think that we had in this color. This one was flawed because the shoulder of it had like a little seam separation. It wasn't too big of a deal. I actually have three of them here behind me, if you can kind of see here. Two are 1X's and one is like a large, I think, large or extra large. So I'll be listing those. And the good thing about all this already being listed is I can just copy the listing and then relist it. But of course, these I don't think are flawed, so hopefully they'll sell for a little more. This was an American flag t-shirt. I also got this at that church sale for $2. It was new with tags and it sold on 4th of July, which I thought was fun as part of that 30% off sale for $10.50. A pair of Skechers Bobs. These were also mine from like, my gosh, probably 10, 15 years ago. And and they no longer fit. I'm like a whole size and a half bigger than that now. So I wanted to put them on here. And the consignment store actually did not take these. So I was glad to be able to sell them on here not too long after we listed them as part of the 30% off sale for $10.50. Again, the 30% off sale, these Avia sneakers. I think my grandma bought these for me like during my first pregnancy, and my feet just keep getting bigger each time with each pregnancy, so these no longer fit. They were in like new condition and they sold for $10.50. A Ralph Lauren dress. I can't remember where I got this from. This might have come from, I can't remember, maybe the consignment store, but it looks like an all whited out background. So maybe it's been sitting for a while. I just can't remember. It's like when you see something and you're like, I know where I got it from, but I just can't remember. Anyway, it did sell for $21, which was part of the 30% off sale. So I was really happy to be able to get 20 over $20 for that one dress. This was a doll of mine from childhood. So I put $0 cost of goods, which now I'm thinking I probably should start doing for those Wizard of Oz Barbies. And I was really hoping to get more for this. I think I originally had it listed for like $60 because, the whole Y2K thing is so popular. And this is literally a Y2K. She's called Generation Girl. And so it's all about like that whole 2000s aesthetic, and she's just so on brand for the Y2K style. And she's called Dance Party Barbie. She had been sitting for a while, and I think originally she had no shipping, but I did update her shipping probably a few months ago so that the buyer would pay shipping. However, like I mentioned before, we are still getting charged that ad fee because she was promoted. She sold for $37.80. I would have liked to have gotten more for her, but I'm glad to have gotten what I did. Next was this Talbot's top that came from my mom. It was a little bit worn, like a little bit of pilling. It wasn't like what I would consider excellent pre-owned condition. So I already had it listed pretty low. And then I accepted an offer of $11 for it. This was, this was kind of sad. So this I essentially considered almost like a donation. This is another doll from my childhood. She was from 1997, so I got her at like 5. And she was called Portrait in Blue Barbie doll. She was a Walmart exclusive, which was pretty cool. And I was hoping to get something for her. I had actually gotten a crazy low offer on her from somebody that lived out in like Colorado, and I realized that this had no shipping charge to it. So I was like, I can't take that low. If it's going all the way out to Colorado, I'm in North Carolina. And so I declined the offer. And then I added to my notes on my phone, make sure you add shipping to all of those Barbies tomorrow. And literally overnight, she sold. So unfortunately, it is what it is. And she sold to someone in California. And I was like, of course, it would go to the furthest away state possible. So shipping was $10, and we had to pay the ad fee on top of the 30% off sale. And so that's where I was really like, okay, something's got to stop. I can't be doing promoted listings and the sales because if they're going to, I understand that they're going to charge both, but I'm just saying if they're going to charge both, like that took 30% off our total price, and then we still paid 41 cents. I can't be doing both of those. So I don't see enough sales in just promoted listings alone, if that makes sense. So the sales are what's definitely driving up our sales. So it just makes sense to me to try to see if we can rely just on the 30% off sales and not the promoted listings. So yeah, a whole grand total of 552. Like I said, by the time we paid for what label, packaging supplies, um, like the paper and the tape and all that stuff, the time spent listing definitely isn't worth it. But at least someone got a really pretty doll at a good price. Next was these Torrid Studio pants. I'd had these up here for about a year, I think. I had these in two sizes, like I think a 26 and 28. And so this was the last pair to sell, and they sold for $27. And lastly was this two-piece Ralph Lauren baby dress and bloomer set, and it sold for $18. Our total profit on eBay was $161.19. Thanks so much to that 4th of July sale. I find myself now just like looking forward to the next major holiday because I know that I can run that 30% off sale and it's going to get some good sales. So in total for the first week of July, between Poshmark, eBay, and Mercari, we profited $214.63, which, as you know, our goal for this year is to try to make $1,000 a month. So we are definitely on our way there with that 200 and almost $15. I hope you guys had some great sales. I hope your 4th of July weekend went really well, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.